just going to be a whale shark extravaganza.
Micro Mike.
Oh, look, he's right here.
Alright crew, welcome back to another episode. I'm Craig and I'm sick. This is Caitlin, she's fully sick. And this is Christine, our whale shark scientist. So this is the long-awaited whale shark episode. It is actually a beautiful day. I'll just show you guys, it's an absolute glass off at the moment, but the swell is up. There's about a 2.5 metre swell rolling through.
But a lot of you guys asked us some questions, so we've got a list of questions to go through. Lovely Christine here is going to help us answer. And we also were out with one of Christine's colleagues, Mike, the other day as well, and he gave us some really cool science chat about everything that he does with whale sharks too. So this is just going to be a whale shark extravaganza.
Whale shark extravaganza, whale shark extravaganza, go!
So we've got Christine with us today. Christine, do you want to tell us about yourself and what you do with the whale sharks?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a PhD candidate, which means in the research world, I'm a small fish, hoping to one day become a big fish like a whale shark. And all the research that I sort of talk about is part of my PhD program. So it's a 3-year, maybe a bit longer, but a 3-year course researching whale sharks at Ningaloo Reef here. So I'm super lucky to be able to do that, and hopefully can answer the questions that you guys have sent through as well.
Yeah. So what is your research? What's your area of research?
So my main area of research is whale shark behaviour. So we have a really cool tag that we put on their dorsal fin, and we have permits to put these on the dorsal fin. And so basically these tags are like a Fitbit, so like, you know, a fitness tracker that you've got, and instead of counting steps, I'm counting tail beats. So I'm seeing how much the shark is swimming, at what speed it's swimming at. I can recreate its tracks under the water, so a 3D movement path from these tags, and they also have video on them as well, so I get to see what the whale sharks see and what they're looking at. Exactly, whale shark cam. Whale shark POV. And I'm using some AI magic to basically say when the tail beat looks like this and its body angle looks like this and the depth is this, I want you to call it feeding. So then it looks through any times when the camera's off, so like at night time, and it tells you, hey, this is what the shark's doing right now. It's using that exact same kinematic motion, so it's probably feeding. So that's really fun as well, to try and see what they're doing at night time and like what they're doing at depths under the water when we don't really get to see them.
So the plan today, we've just popped the drone up, you guys probably heard, but I'm going to try and find some whale sharks, hopefully swim with some whale sharks, and then teach you guys a bit about them as well. So yeah, and there's been lots of other cool stuff out here in the last week or so as well, while me and Craig have been sick in bed. There's been all sorts of amazing stuff seen out here. So yeah, first day back out on the water, and hopefully we can find some cool stuff. Captain Kato.
Emma. Mike.
Christine. Look at this water. We are out on the glassy right now. I've got my friend Christine here, who's a whale shark researcher. You've probably met her already, with a couple researcher friends. So we are going to go for a little snorkel and then chat a little bit about whale sharks. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
This is Microbe Mike.
I'm Mike Doan. I'm a researcher at Flinders University. So I study the small things that live on sharks, and here at Ningaloo we've been looking at whale sharks in particular. So what I mean by the small things are looking at the bacteria, viruses that live on the skin. Whale sharks are huge animals, but they also have a lot of surface area for stuff to live on them. One of the motivations for our research is that we just don't know much about whale sharks and their health, and so microbes we know are connected to the health of all living things, including humans and all other animals. So we're just trying to get a sense of what might be there so that one day we can actually make some health link, hopefully, and have a better insight whether these sharks here at Ningaloo are actually healthy or if they're in fact sick. But we won't know that until we baseline the bacterial communities. But we use these little syringe devices. We free dive down to it, we put the device on the skin, we flush the skin surface, and we take it back to the boat. And then we do all kinds of fun lab stuff where we actually kind of look at the bacteria that are in there and try to figure out who's there and what are they doing. What they're doing there, we don't yet know. We're still in the very early stages of this research, so our findings are a little bit like a Darwin-esque expedition in a way. Nobody's really ever looked at this, so what we see is kind of the first time anybody's ever looking at this, I guess, level of life. You definitely don't want to go around just touching whale sharks. We don't know what it does to them. So from our perspective, like, we don't want to promote that, but we have to get experts to do some of this work. And so we try to limit that interaction with the animal.
What did your paper that came out recently find, the one where you compared the different sites?
Yeah, so we went to various places around the world and looked at whale sharks from, well, 5 different locations, and we were able to show that the whale sharks have different bacterial communities. So the whale sharks from Tanzania or the Philippines or here in Ningaloo and in Mexico, they all have different communities that live on them. And so we think that that's probably a function of the fact that they live in different environments or different regions of the world. So we don't know exactly what it is, but those microbes are somehow evolved to live in the environment that's on the skin. And so that suggests that there is a link between the whale shark and the microbial community, which suggests it's important for something about the whale shark, whether it's keeping the shark healthy, keeping it from having other things growing on it, because whale sharks are clean. You know, you look at whales and they're covered in barnacles, they're covered in things that are permanent growth structures. Whale sharks don't have that.
Yeah.
They're just, you know, you'll have a fish, maybe some copepods, but you don't have these growths around them. So whether maybe the microbial communities are helping to keep those things from settling on the skin, those are pieces of the puzzle that we're really trying to piece together now. Really important factor to all of that, or not. If the environment's really important to all of this, then you can imagine, you know, a changing ocean is going to have impacts on the whale sharks beyond just their physiology. So if the microbes change, infection could change and really cause some, have some issues for the animals. So I think right now we think about like increasing temperatures and what that will do to their bodies, but also what will it do to those communities of bacteria that live with them that could cause infection. These are questions that still remain unanswered that we really should get a bit better handle on, given, you know, the state of climate change and that sort of thing. Our overall aim is really to establish, or I guess where we're trying to strive towards is connecting health, or finding a way in which we can better understand the health of the animal.
Can't believe we forgot to mention my Yindi's here today. A few of you guys are wanting more Yindi content, so there she is. She's loving it. She hasn't been on the boat for a while. We've been spear fishing the last few times, and she's not the best when we're spear fishing, or even when we spend the day floating out in the blue. She likes to be able to jump off and have a run every now and then, so, but she hasn't been on for a while, so she's out today helping us spot the whale shark. A Yindi. Should we get a Yindi cam? Should we strap a GoPro to you?
You Indie cam. I want a whole
Indie
episode.
POV. Yeah. Put a comment down below if you want an entire episode, day in the life of Indie. Wow, there's a super stripy sea snake over here. Wow, he's beautiful. That's another one of those elegant sea snakes.
Yeah, they've got a tiny head, hey?
Really tiny. He's so beautiful. What is that, Indy?
That's a danger noodle.
So pretty. Alright, a bunch of you guys asked us lots of questions about whale sharks on Instagram and YouTube and all the things. So while we're looking for some whale sharks, oh, what is that down there? A big turtle.
They're all tuna.
That was a turtle underneath. Oh, tuna. We're going to do a little bit of a whale shark Q&A. So, is everyone ready to answer some questions about whale sharks?
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited.
Why do whale sharks gather at Ningaloo?
Whale sharks gather at Ningaloo to eat. They're mostly juvenile males and they grow at a much quicker rate than the females at this sort of age that they come here. So they're here to eat as much as they can in their time here.
So there's a couple of currents that flow. So there's the Lagoon current that is about 50 miles offshore that comes down from the north, and that brings warm water down the coast. Now warm water is generally not that nutrient rich. But we also get a southerly flowing current, so a current that flows from the south to the north, so a northerly flowing current, called the Ningaloo current, which is a colder current that comes down from like south of Rottnest, like south of Lagoon. Anyway, it comes all the way down up from the south, and that's a deeper water current. Now when it hits Ningaloo is the closest point in Australia to the edge of the continental shelf. So about 6 nautical miles out to the west from where we are now is the edge of the continental shelf. And when that cold water upwelling gets pushed up by the shelf, that's when we get all that nutrient-rich water, and that's what brings the whale sharks here to feed. Is that correct?
Yep, that's bang on.
That's my layman's understanding.
Nah, that's bang on.
Okay, so that's why Ningaloo is the place where there's so much food for these developing young male whale sharks.
Which kind of leads into the next question, which is, are they here all year round?
So some studies have found that they are here all year round, but just not in the same numbers. So they can be here all year round if they want, but there definitely seems to be a seasonal pulse where they're getting more prey and more of them are sticking around, and then after that time they sort of head off.
Just while we're here, we're actually floating past the middle of the big whale shark industry here. So for those that don't know, there are 12 licenses issued by the Department of Biodiversity, Conservation and Attractions to interact with whale sharks out of Tandabiddi, and then there's another 3 down in Coral Bay. So if you look, you can see that industry working away over there right now, giving people the experience of a lifetime.
Where do the whale sharks go when they're not at Ningaloo?
So other researchers have put tags on the whale sharks that are sort of different to my tags. They're like a long-term tag, and they've found that they can go all the way down to the Perth Canyon. They can head out sort of into the Indian Ocean, and the tracks they get can sort of be for a few months or sort of up to a year. So we sort of see partly where they go, and then the track just turns off and we lose it. And then they also go up to Indonesia, into the Philippines, around sort of pretty much everywhere, but once they get to Perth Canyon they're not going further south than that, so it's just like they continue their little journey.
I'm so surprised that they even go that far down.
Because the Lagoon current keeps the temperature quite nice all the
Yeah.
way down there. And then there's another, I think, pretty sure there's another upwelling off the Perth Canyon
Yeah.
that drives productivity as well.
Yeah.
It's funny when you see a whale shark in the water, you're like, where have you been?
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
What's your story? Next question, is it sustainable to swim with them? So is the industry impacting them?
I guess there's sort of 2 layers I can answer that with, my personal opinion and also my scientific opinion. So personally, I told my parents to come swim with the whale shark industry while they were here last year, and they loved it, and I felt like really good about that. The science as well shows that Ningaloo Reef is pretty much the best place you could do it. Like, guilt-free, have a good time, and so much of that comes down to all the really strict regulations that are here. So
And ongoing research.
And the ongoing research, yeah.
Which feeds the regulations and updates the regulations yearly, is my understanding.
Yeah, it does. So there was a really cool study that came out recently from some other whale shark researchers up here, and they found that the whale sharks still change direction a little bit when we jump in the water with them, and that's kind of fair enough because they can not really want it, but they're not like having this crazy reaction where they're zooming off and trying to get out the way. And you know, a lot of the time we see them as well still feeding while you're in the water with them, which obviously shows that they're relaxed and they're not super stressed.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think all of us have spent a lot of time around ecotourism, and my opinion is that any interaction we have with them is probably going to impact them in some way. You know, I worked on the cage diving boats in Port Lincoln where there was similar research on the impacts, and here as well, like anywhere that you're interacting with a specific creature every day that they're here, I'm sure there's going to be some impact on them. But I think what's more important is the impact on the people that are getting to experience that. If people are coming up here and connecting with the ocean and these creatures and understanding something about them and going away feeling a little bit more inspired to look after them and protect them and the ocean in general, then I think that kind of outweighs the impact that ecotourism has. And I think that's the whole point of it when it's done right, like it is here.
Another thing to consider though is that Ningaloo is a unique place in the fact that it's very accessible once you're here. So the one thing that I see in my time here is that we have a lot of people that are bringing their own boats up, and they're not taking part in these controlled tourism programs. And I think, my personal opinion, there's no science behind this, but I think that's probably the biggest threat to Ningaloo. People driving around in bigger, faster boats, hitting whale sharks. We're seeing a lot more whale sharks scarring from prop strikes, and people anchoring in coral, people just doing the wrong thing, fishing in sanctuary zones, and not for any reason that they're trying to do the wrong thing, just because they don't know. And that's one of the benefits you get. I'm not advertising here for tourism, I'm not, but one of the benefits you get going out with a registered tour operator or a licensed tour operator is that you get people that are experienced, they're controlled by what they're allowed to do, and they tell you what you're allowed to do.
What is their biggest threat?
Their main threat, it seems to be at the moment, is ship strikes. So there used to be active fisheries that would fish whale sharks, but they're not active anymore, and there is still some illegal fishing, but they're such a big fish that it gets documented on social media straight away, and everyone's like, what is that whale shark doing on the street, basically. Have sort of their known migration routes, and then they have the known paths that all these shipping channels go through. And a study looked at their sort of locations, and a lot of their last locations were in the middle of these shipping routes. So they think the whale sharks get struck by a boat and then they sink because they're negatively buoyant. They're not like a whale that will float and you'll see it. It's a really challenging issue because this is across international waters. This is people trying to make money by getting something from one place to the other as soon as they can. There's lots of factors that make it a really difficult problem to solve.
Yeah. What is the best time of year to see the whale sharks? Generally, yeah, I mean, yeah, it would probably depend on where you are in the world, but if we're talking about here, then normally they start showing up in numbers around like the end of March, and then some years they're here until like August, September in big numbers. Like last year, I think there was some pretty late, and then other years it's sort of beginning of winter, like, you know, July, they kind of move out. Yeah, I think May is usually the biggest numbers, right?
Yeah, well, that's when we come up to do our field work to try and give us the best chance of seeing as many as possible.
Magic May!
Magic May, and oh, did we get Magic May this year?
Yeah.
It was dreamy conditions most days, which is like...
you got so lucky.
Yeah.
Would other sharks eat a whale shark?
Yes, not the entire shark, but parts of the shark, especially at different sizes that the shark is. Like a fully grown whale shark, probably they wouldn't bother, but if they could and they thought they could, they would. We saw on this trip a shark. It was about 6 meters actually, quite a big one, but it had scars of where a shark had bit its tail.
Interesting.
Sort of from underneath.
Do they have any other natural predators?
Yeah, so definitely the orcas, like
Yeah.
you're saying, Craig.
They like their liver.
Yeah, so they just take the
Fava
liver.
beans in a nice Chianti. Next question, please.
Yeah.
Next question is, where are the juveniles born?
We don't know. Basically, there's such a big gap in the knowledge about the reproduction of whale sharks. They see some very small whale sharks around the Philippines.
Yeah.
Is where they've seen, like, they look like a tadpole. Their proportions are like so
Massive
weird.
head.
Yeah, yeah.
Huge tail.
Yeah.
There's a video
and
of
they're
one
sort of
like
this.
that
Yeah.
big, yeah.
How long do the juveniles stay with the mum?
We don't think there's
They
any
probably don't.
parental care involved at all. Yeah.
I think, is there any sharks that have parental care? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Not that I know of.
There may be, but definitely not whale sharks. Well, to be fair, I can't say definitely not because we don't know enough, but
Yeah.
it would really surprise me if they did any parental care at all. I think it'd most likely be give birth, keep swimming.
It would be
Especially for
unusual.
creatures that have that many babies as well. Like if there was a whale shark found with 300 babies, even if some of those babies did eat each other, then having that, you're still going to end up with a massive number of babies that would make sense for a parent to care for. So
Yeah.
how deep can they dive?
Over 1,000 meters.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
it's really cool. So pretty deep. They do sort of big deep dives when they're not at aggregation sites along the coast. And I think their biggest dive recorded is 1,200 and something meters.
Wow.
Yeah, so deep.
All right, last question. Are there any different species of whale shark?
No,
Whale shark is the species.
Rincodon typus.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You should know that.
Yeah, so just the whale sharks. And then I think their nearest cousins are like all not around as well. I think one of their
Leopard
closest.
sharks are their
Yeah.
closest relative, aren't they?
Yeah, which is a very different shark in terms of that it can chill on the bottom. It doesn't have to keep swimming to be able to breathe. Like,
So do we think whale sharks are chilling down at 1,000 meters, just like having a little rest in the dark?
no.
Their little night mask on?
Yeah, because they don't buccal pump the
Yeah.
same way, so they have to keep swimming to be able to breathe
Yeah.
constantly, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So just on that, for those that don't know, a lot of sharks like great whites, tiger sharks, they've got a certain name, don't they?
Ram ventilators.
Ram ventilators. They have to swim through the water to push water over their gills so that they can breathe. There's other types of sharks which we talk about on our tour, like white-tip reef sharks, leopard sharks, tawny nurse sharks, that can do something called buccal pumping. So they've got a special valve in their mouth, and when they're laying on the bottom, they look like they're panting, and what they're doing is they're pumping water over their gills.
Well, that is
Not it.
not it.
So
Oh,
someone
we've
sent
got
us
one more.
Someone tagged us in a video. There is another one. I'm trying to find it. But someone also tagged us in a video that they took when they were out on their tinny. It looks like the whale sharks are chomping on the side of the tinny, or very curious about the side of the tinny. Now, the reason for that, you can see on this boat, we're rolling from side to side, and that creates bubbles on the side of the boat. And whale sharks are very curious about bubbles. That's one of their feeding methods as well, is to come up vertically in the water and mouth the food.
Yeah, so they have a sort of suction feeding mechanism that they use where they're opening their mouth, and it's that action sort of creates this big draw of the water, and then they're suctioning it
Yeah.
inwards as they go.
So that's it for the whale shark Q&A. If we missed any questions, or if you guys have any questions that were spurred by that, then feel free to put them in the comments and we'll consult with our whale shark expert and answer them for you. But I reckon now we'll go for a bit more of a cruise and
Yeah.
see what we can find. See if we can find a whale shark for you to show you. Jump in, go. Good girl, go. Yes. No. She just wanted to dip her toes. That's fair enough. We found our whale shark. Coming over to say hello. Hi, buddy. Oh, look, he's right here. Hello. Wow, he's just fully come to check us out. Big Craig and Christine are going to get in for a swim, hey?
Coming around the back.
Wow. You're probably not going to swim, Mindy. You're just going to be swim. Co-pilot. You're just going to be helping me, okay? Okay, get in and swim that way.
You neutral?
Yeah, go. So in a boat, you have to stay 30 metres away from the whale sharks. And when you're in the water swimming with them, you have to stay, I think it's 3 metres from the side and 4 metres from the tail. How was it?
The best, as always. It was a beautiful 3-metre buoy.
Oh, little one.
With little claspers. Oh, that was such a lovely sharky.
It looks really pretty.
It's actually the first time I've swum with a whale shark with like not doing research or having a task to do and just actually be able to be like, I'm
That's
obsessed with
crazy.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always have to be doing something like when we're doing our research, whether it's just taking a photo for the photo ID, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can just be here and just love you.
Well, that's the first time I've swum with a whale shark with a 360 cam.
Yeah, it'll be so cool to see.
So I can't wait to see what that looks like.
Are you doing a real life boomerang?
This is sick Caitlin, everyone. How are you feeling, Foxy?
I'm tired.
She's done.
Cool. Alright, we're going back in. Foxy's couch is calling her. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of whale shark information, whale shark swim. Have you two got anything that you want to say?
No, thank you to Christine, our lovely whale shark researcher, for sharing all of the knowledge with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. I did have an afterthought. I'm supervised by some really cool researchers and I don't really do anything alone, despite me saying I a lot. So we, collective, team, science gets done as a group. That's my afterthought.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's citizen science going on as well. When you're up here, we were talking before about there's another researcher that's been here a very long time that has this thing set up that you can upload your own photos. So that's called citizen science. They've got a star mapping system that they've adapted to whale sharks, because each whale shark spots are like a fingerprint. So they can use that system to identify your shark and tell you where it's been seen before, if it's been seen before, and what number it is. And I think you can even name some whale sharks, like you can the mantis as well. Anyway, that's it. But we do have Christine on tap, I'd say.
Yes.
So if there are any more
Drop off the
questions,
face of the earth when she leaves.
so if there are any more questions, we can ask them to Christine and include them in future episodes, or just write them up on the gram or wherever it is.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anything else from you, Caitlin?
No.
No?
Am I meant to be saying something else?
No, but you can go straight back to the couch if you want.
I'm gonna go back to the couch.
Okay.
She made
Thanks
the
for
effort.
watching, guys. We'll see you next week here on Ningaloo Crew.
Bye.
See ya.
Oh!
Beat you to it.
Why did you do that?
So I'm looking specifically, Indy didn't like me putting my finger in her mouth. Hi Craig, I'm getting really good content. It's called The Anchor.
Yeah.
How are we liking it?
Yeah.
Looking fresh.
I'm not really involved. What's that?
What bird?
The Jesus bird. They walk on water. They just like. Duk, duk, duk.